Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm showing you how I created this vinyl and glitter stripe tumbler for the winter and snowy season. While I'm a huge fan of Christmas tumblers, I wanted to create a design that can be used all winter long and that would be appealing to either of those who love or hate the cold. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this cup, I wanted to show you a little hack that I use for getting the right dimensions of my vinyl stripes. So I am using a 30-inch straight skinny from Parish Tumblers, and because I've done a bunch of striped cups before, I know that this thicker tape is the perfect width for me to fit 4 stripes on the cup with just smaller stripes in between. So all I did is I took the painter's tape, lined it up with the straight edge of the vinyl, and then just applied the tape so that I had a nice straight edge for reference. What I found this does is, yes, it might seem wasteful, but it prevents me from having to do a bunch of measurements that just never come out the best. And it also served as a really nice guide to use with my scrap paper cutter that you see here to get those really, really nice straight lines that set up the entire cup for success. Because the straighter the lines, the easier it is to line it up and get everything just flowing nice and easy for the rest of the cup. Once I got all of the vinyl cut, I came in with my weeding tweezers and just gently removed the painter's tape from the top of the vinyl. I just wanted to show you guys this just to see how I did it and to let you know that if the vinyl pulls from the backing, it's not to worry. Just take your time and be gentle with this stuff. And then if it does come up, just take your squeegee. I prefer a felt tip squeegee and just gently push the vinyl back down. If you don't have a felt tip squeegee, whatever you feel comfortable with will be absolutely fine. But I did want to show you this step before we moved into the other processes of creating this cup. For this design, I'm using a 30-ounce straight skinny from Parish Tumblers. I spray painted it white. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove about 1 inch of the backing from the vinyl stripe, start from the top about 1/8 inch from the top of the very rim of the cup, and I just adhere that first little inch and then make sure that I have the vinyl straight and lined up by just wrapping it around the whole cup. Once I'm happy with that and I feel like it's lined up as straight as possible, I will use the squeegee to completely start to push off the backing from the vinyl. Once I get all the way around the cup, I'm going to use painter's tape and I set it back probably about 1/8 of an inch from where the first piece of the vinyl or the starting edge is there. And then I back up about 1/8 of an inch, lay the painter's paint down, and then I push down the top layer of the vinyl to create a really nice increase and use it as a guide for cutting my vinyl. This prevents the stainless steel from showing and you get a nice straight edge. Once I'm done with that, I grab this nice masking tape and I will link it below in the description, but it was the perfect width to get nice even stripes around the rest of the cup. But I just did a nice stripe right up against the vinyl that I had started, and then I move into the next strip of the printed vinyl up next to where we laid down that masking tape. I prefer to do this with like the masking tape versus just kind of measuring because I feel like I can use it as a nice reference straight edge to lay down my next stripes and just have everything flow right into the next. So here, what I did again with the second strip of vinyl, cut back a little bit of that backing, adhered it to the cup, making sure that I get it as straight as possible, and then use that masking tape as a reference and just move the vinyl around the rest of the cup. So about this printed vinyl. This printed vinyl is a little bit different than what you typically see from a bunch of different places online. And the reason why it's different is because the backing of this vinyl, so the backing of the printed vinyl, actually is breathable. And you're probably like, why does that matter? Well, the reason why this is important, and it's a pretty cool feature, is it prevents your vinyl from getting bubbles underneath it. So I can move really quickly, continuing the rest of this design. So again, I'm coming in right next to the printable vinyl with the masking tape and not have to worry about getting huge, large bumps underneath the vinyl because it is breathable. So I can literally snap these stripes on the cup, push them down with my squeegee and not have to worry about bubbles at all. Now, where does this wonderful vinyl come from? It is from Midlands Vinyl, and I would link them down below, but I absolutely love this stuff. And I wanted to do a full vinyl wrap cup. Granted, I use stripes to show you just how easy it is to use this stuff, but how magnificent it really makes it for the crafter to do vinyl wraps if you're not as confident using some of the other printable vinyls that are out there. I just continued with the stripes and the masking tape down the rest of the cup, and then it was time to move into the next steps of this design. So just as soon as I get all of the masking tape laid down in the vinyl, I pull the masking tape off. And I usually like to reuse the strips that I put down in between my vinyl, but the first strip that I removed, I accidentally tore it, so I just came in with a new piece. But all I'm going to do is use the edge of the printed vinyl as a guide and come in and start to mask off the edges of that patterned vinyl. So I will do that on both sides of the stripe. And all we're doing here is creating a template for us to come in and add some beautiful glitter that really complements all of the printed vinyl in between these glitter stripes. So I'm just going to continue down the whole width of the cup. And then also at the bottom, what I'm going to do is just tape off that dark navy blue snowflake vinyl and also add add glitter to the whole bottom of the cup. So just take your time, try and get the masking tape as straight as possible, because it is going to set you up for success if you have those straight lines, and just move down the cup until you're happy with the placement for your template. Once you have all of your templates nice and masked off, I grab the devil's glue, or Mod Podge as it's also known, and I just had a silicone mold that I set aside, and I am going to be using Whisper from Boujie Glitter Boutique. Now I'm showing you this paintbrush, and it has a rounded kind of tip to it, but after I started this process, and I'm going to use the rounded tip for the applying all of the first round of glitters, I don't like it. I don't recommend it. So I actually come in, and you'll see it later, with probably about 3/4 of an inch flat tip brush, and it just works so much better. And the reason why I say that is because when you're using Mod Podge of any kind, you want to make sure that you have nice, even coats. And when you're using a thinner brush like this, it's harder to get, especially if you don't have that flat tip of the paintbrush. So highly recommend using a flat paintbrush to do this. And because we did use the masking tape as our guide, it's easier to use that little bit of a wider paintbrush to really get that even coat and not have to worry about getting it on the the printed vinyl. So I got that first stripe on, and then I just simply moved down to the other stripes of the cup. Now I am just using straight Mod Podge. If you wanted to tint your Mod Podge with acrylic paint, by all means. I just really liked the way that this Whisper glitter played off the white background, but you could obviously do a blue glitter and it would be just as beautiful. I just liked the white for this cup. One thing you'll also notice is that I do have a chip brush set to the side, and what a chip brush is just that paintbrush that's right there in frame. And I am trying to brush off any excess glitter that is on the cup. I know you're always going to have stray glitters, and I do too. It's something that's just kind of a job hazard, you could say, but just try and get as much glitter off the cup as quickly as you can so that it doesn't really just attach itself and make it impossible. So this is just a nice little hack that I like to do when I'm adding glitter over printed vinyl. Finally, don't forget your bottoms. I really wanted to make sure that I had a nice good coverage on the bottom, so just took my time applying the Mod Podge and then came in with the Whisper, and then once I was happy with the coverage for the first coat, I let that dry for about 45 minutes, and then I spray sealed it with Rust-Oleum Clear Gloss 2X spray paint, just to make sure that I didn't have any movement when I came into the next step of the second coat of glitter. And you don't have to do that step. I just found that it makes it a lot easier keeping the glitter in place if you just seal it first before you move into the second coat. And there it is, the hero of this cup, the nice straight edge paintbrush. I just used this 3/4 of an inch paintbrush, like I had mentioned before, to apply the second coat of Mod Podge. Now, one thing I do want to call out here is that if you decided to tint your Mod Podge the first coat around, you do not want to do it for the second coat because you will paint over all of that beautiful glitter. So for the second coat of Mod Podge, make sure it's clear, just so that you're getting the added depth of glitter coverage instead of just painting over it and then applying glitter over the top of that. So you can see here just how much simpler the straight edge brush made this process. So I highly recommend just starting out with that. Learn from my mistakes. You'll also see here that I am coming in with a chip brush afterwards, just to make sure that I'm getting off any excess glitter that we don't want to unnecessarily stick to the cup. Once we have a second coat of glitter goodness, it is time to pull the tape. Here I am using just some normal tweezers to pull it. And I like to do this instead of using my fingers, just because the Mod Podge gets everywhere, the glitter gets everywhere, and it's hard to get off. But by all means, you do not have to use the tweezers. This is just works best for me. Also, in between stripes, you can remove the tape so that you don't have any lifting. I didn't have a problem, even though this was 2 coats of Mod Podge with a spray seal in between it. But if you're more comfortable, by all means. But that second coat, I did really want to make sure to get the paint off before that Mod Podge dried, just so that I didn't run the risk of any of that beautiful glitter lifting. Once I had all the tape removed, I did come in with a chip brush just one more time to kind of brush off any of the glitter that may have strayed. And then I did seal this again with Rust-Oleum 2X clear gloss, just to make sure that I mitigated any chance of stray glitter going every which way. And I feel like that really helped to get a really good finish on this cup. I let the spray paint dry for about 45 minutes, and then I came in with about 20 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy, just to lay down a nice first coat of epoxy and seal in all of the design work that we've done up until this point. I let that cure for about 4 hours, and then it was time to do our snowflake designs and striping, and I decided to do this on a live in my group. So I'm sorry if my mouth is moving. It does not match what I'm saying. We were just having a good old time, and I would love to have you in the group if you'd like to join. We have a lot of fun, and I go live at least twice a week. But what I did is I cut a series of snowflakes. So I did both snowflakes that have a gold offset, and I use the Cricut premium textured gold, or actually it's called platinum vinyl. So I did several snowflakes that have the gold offsets, and then I also did some that were just simply gold, and then also some were just simply white. So I wanted to use a combination of snowflakes on this cup because there were so many different variations of the snowflakes already in the printed vinyl. So if you wanted to do all one type of snowflake, all one type of decal for these snowflakes, by all means, I'm sure it will look beautiful. I just wanted to mix it up. Also, I think you saw it here. One thing I like to do when layering my decals is I like to use the vinyl backing on half of the decal, line them up, then let it rip, and you will get a lot better kind of offset lines by doing this. And I can definitely do a tutorial in the future where I show how I do this, because I think it's a really cool hack for getting those offsets perfectly lined up. So I just move around the cup and I just place the decals just every which way, putting some bigger snowflakes up top, smaller snowflakes at the bottom, just different ones that are just gold, just white, and I just move throughout until I'm really happy with the placement of the different snowflake decals. Once I was happy with all of that, it was time to pinstripe between the different stripes. Now, I am showing you the method in which I designed this cup, and I know it is the harder way to do it. But what I'm doing here is I am going over the top of the snowflake decals. Then I am coming in with my X-Acto knife and carving's probably the wrong word, but cutting out around the snowflake decals and then removing the parts of the stripes that overlap those decals. So you can see there, I cut around the snowflake and just had the stripe meet up against that snowflake decal. Now, for the ones that have the gold offset on them, this was pretty easy. But for the ones that were just the straight white or the straight gold snowflakes without the offset, it's pretty complicated. I still like the way it looked because it just added a an added feature that was just more attention to detail. But if you wanted to do this easier, what you could do is you could pinstripe the cup first. So really quick on the pinstripes, these were cut at 0.125 inches wide by 11 inches long to go around the cup. And so you could easily pinstripe the cup first, do a coat of epoxy, and then apply your snowflakes. That would be a lot easier technique. I just really wanted to try to carve out around the snowflakes for that added detail, but by all means, do what you are more comfortable with. So when I do my pinstriping, just kind of as a little hack, I like to do it just the same way that I do the vinyl wraps. I just adhere that first edge of the vinyl, so like the very, very tip of it, and then I just rotate the cup and try and keep the vinyl as straight as possible as I roll the cup forward. And I found that this allows me to get, I mean, they're not perfectly straight lines, but as straight of lines as possible as I move around the cup. I'm sorry that I'm winking like a pirate in some of my live video, but I was having some issues because of the shine of that dang epoxy. I couldn't see how straight it was going on, but the one eye seemed to work for this process. So I just pinstriped around all of the different places where the glitter met the printed vinyl, and I did do it at the bottom of the cup, and I think that this added detail was just so nice, and I think it just turned out great. One thing I did want to call out, because typically when you do snowflakes or this kind of color scheme, you use silver vinyl, but I wanted to use gold because of the gold in the stripes that we used in one of the printed vinyls. And I think that this was a nice touch that was kind of different and brought a whole new element to the color scheme. Once I was happy with all of the vinyl work, I sealed this with Quick Coat from CC DIY, which is a polyurethane sealer, and I went into a flood coat of about 20 milliliters of epoxy, let that dry, and then it was time to apply the final decal. I designed this decal. It says literally freezing, and it's available in my Facebook group if you guys would like to check it out for free. And one thing to call out is when you are doing your snowflake placement, make sure that you leave an area for your decal if you decide to put one on. I liked it, so I made sure to just leave a little bit of space, and you can see that it's got a nice little offset with it that's included in the SVG design. Once that's placed, I come in with my polyacrylic sealer, make sure that I have a nice, good coat on it. And the reason why I do this is to prevent any vinyl lifting. So I recommend this added step. You let it dry for about 45 minutes, and then it's time for epoxy. I mixed up 20 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy, and since we're talking snow and the glistening time of year, I added a little bit of Pixie dust from Boujie Glitter Boutique, which is an epoxy additive, just to give a little bit of sparkle over the whole design of the cup. And I think it just added a nice little touch that really helped to enhance the whole design. So I just mixed that in, and granted, less is more when you do this, because if you add too much, it just makes your whole design look muddy. But I applied the epoxy over the entire cup. It only needed one final coat, and this baby was done. And I have to say that I love the way that this turned out, that I feel could be used the rest of the winter season. I hope this tutorial inspires you to not be afraid of vinyl wraps or create something just as beautiful with your own color schemes and designs. The possibilities are truly endless. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you are notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.